You're being locked onto.
Hello everyone, it actually hasn't been that long. Today we're going to be experiencing the Battlefield 6 open beta and all the various silly things that have happened in the community and the game because of this beta. Unlike last time, this beta actually worked on computers and consoles and didn't warrant an immediate class action lawsuit.
If I like hit this building right here, yeah, doesn't do anything. Look at that.
So DICE, they rebranded to Battlefield Studios. You're making progress. My expectations for Battlefield 6, especially after the disappointing, gut-wrenching outcome of 2042.
Nobody wants to see you out in public, much less on a stage, unless they're throwing rotten fruit at you.
Which still isn't a good game, by the way. I don't want to hear people start defending this crap. Was below the floor. However, dare I say, the open beta was actually a fun experience, mostly. There were still many issues, definitely a few too many bugs and balancing issues. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it seems like they won't fumble it this time. So, without further annoyance, let's proceed. Day one for me was actually Thursday, not Saturday like the rest of the peasants. This was because I signed up for Battlefield Labs a few months back and actually got to play the game in May in a much worse state on PlayStation. That being said, I'm terrible at using a controller and thus didn't really enjoy my time playing it. I even tried plugging in a mouse and keyboard and even going with this. Nothing worked. Anyway, I thought that the extra days would be a little exclusive, like a few thousand people could maybe play it at the moment or something. No, not at all. Far from it, actually.
This is wild. 123,000 people are in here.
There were 200,000 people on Steam alone waiting in queue, and that was a long queue. I was in there for like an hour.
I thought this was going to take 10 minutes. This is going to take like... There's 250k people on Steam alone. 250,000!
After the long and arduous wait, I got a space in the servers and was greeted with the home screen.
Finally! Dude, let's go.
It looks like Netflix. After messing around a little bit in the home screen, I loaded into a match. It was the mountain map. I think it's called Liberation Peak. And after playing the game with guns for a few minutes and taking in the next generation graphics, I decided that I didn't really like shooting guns anymore and attempted to do something that was a little bit more unorthodox. Like really badly attempting to do a C4 car kill.
Can there be a tank down here, please? I mean, it was only a matter of time before that was gonna end that way.
And trying to burn someone's kneecaps.
I'm gonna go burn some kneecaps. No!
I nearly got him, okay? After the round ended though, I called up YouTuber and dear friend, Your Man Jimbo.
Sorry, this is the game.
Video game is like good.
And decided to show him next generation graphics. And also price tags too. Didn't go so well, had me worried for a bit. Anyway, here are my favorite moments from today.
Oh wow, awesome. Wait, what the
They have health bars, don't they? So you gotta hit them a few times if you wanna...
maybe that one just can't be
Bravo
destroyed.
dice. Bravo dice. This is power
Okay,
of the PS5.
come on!
No. Alright, you're playing as Hato at the moment, aren't you? Hato versus NATO.
Oh yeah, literally hate over. I think we're supposed to be Britain. Why isn't the NATO
No,
symbol that?
NATO is Britain, and Pax Armada is the Espada faction.
That's
Spaniard.
Spain. Sparta, come on, bro.
I mean, this is not exactly realistic, because if it was realistic, the Espada would just be sitting around having a siesta and forgetting to turn up to the battle. But you know,
It'd be like the Italians in like North Africa. They'd just have
do nothing. Do nothing and get captured, and you're happy when you're captured. There was a dude in that house.
I know. Oh, you! I literally got
You-
bamboozled. Why are you turning around, man? Like,
we complain about
staring
enemies.
at me.
We complain about enemies turning around. Man.
yes.
When it comes to the vehicles, most of their problems are a result of this being a beta, and obviously lacking the majority of the content, such as a customization system. Right now, both sides' vehicles are identical, but the full release should have a mix of European, American, and Russian vehicles. Map design doesn't really do the vehicles any favor either, with 3 of the 4 maps being infantry-centric, and easily providing angles to ambush vehicles with launchers. The IFV is definitely the best vehicle in this beta, as it's designed to survive in said infantry environment. It has a scanner that spots infantry in close proximity, and a smoke launcher that shoots 360 degrees to cover any angle. Smoke is actually given to the gunner, which is actually a pretty cool mechanic to encourage teamwork, as he has to make the call to conceal and disengage when it's too dangerous, instead of just, you know, being a baby version of the main turret, which gets 15 points for suppression in a 20-minute game.
Literally 25 points for suppression, by the way.
It won't survive in a direct fight with a tank, but if you ambush with the anti-tank guided missile, then drop off infantry with RPGs, you can easily come out on top.
Oh, let's go.
One issue with the IFV that extends to all the other armoured vehicles is that in first person, the turret rotates extremely slowly. Hopefully this is just a bug because it makes no sense design wise since the turrets move normally in third person. Still better than Battlefield 4 tanks though, it felt like they were on 4000 DPI and you could like 360 in less than a second.
Initiating spin!
Speaking of the tank, it sucks. The machine gun is pretty weak, and the main cannon, while powerful, is far less useful against infantry than the IFV's autocannon. It doesn't have a scanner and isn't very maneuverable, meaning in close quarters fights like on Cairo, it rarely lasts long. I think being able to upgrade the tank with active protection and thermal vision would make it last a lot longer in these scenarios. Of course, in Battlefield 4, thermals were way too OP, with it just descending into a game of click on the white people, but an implementation where fire and other distortions that could easily mess up the view might be a little bit more balanced. The self-propelled anti-air is a complete meme. Long gone are the days of the rotary cannon and rockets annihilating everything on the map like in Battlefield 4. You could hypothetically, maybe, kill an enemy with it, but by the time you're close to removing its health bar, the match will have ended.
It's the tank right in front of me, and I'm gonna die. Oh, I got saved by the victory screen.
Also, air vehicles are so irrelevant right now that the anti-air vehicle in itself is just useless. After some effort, I got a whopping 1 shoot down with it.
Let's go.
Spotting one is like a Loch Ness Monster sighting, as they only appear on Liberation Peak, the one place all the hardcore movement sweats and FaZe clan members filter out of their map rotation. I will say, ground vehicles are somewhat balanced by the sheer number of brave souls willing to repair the vehicle. Every engineer now has a repair tool guaranteed, so vehicles feel even more tanky, even if they technically aren't. The helicopter handles super stiff, which is way less fun than the snappy controls of the previous titles. It is nice not getting pummeled by some guy with 5,000 hours in the attack chopper, as the rockets are pretty useless, but since they lack any anti-armor missiles currently, they only exist to kill the other heli on the map. The jet is more useful due to it being able to actually kill ground vehicles, though most of my attempts at flying resulted in an immediate lesson about gravity.
It's inverted. Whoa! It's literally... What? That's so weird. It just immediately goes down. What? I didn't even move the mouse.
Every single engineer can now carry both an AT and AA launcher, which is definitely, hopefully, going to get nerfed soon. With such a large amount of fast landing assistance, you'll rarely last long, and I can't see air mains being happy about that. Anyway, let's move on to day 2.
Supposed to be ready.
Alright, do you wanna do it, or should I?
I may as well, if you want.
Through. There is like a side road.
I'm gonna try, that's what I'm gonna, okay, I see him. You see him? Alright, we're behind him, Ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
There's 2 of them, ready? Ready? Get him, now!
Yeah, I got him, I got him. Yeah!
I've still got mine actually, let me see if I can get the next one.
Pax Armata.
I feel like they could have called it a better name.
It's whatever.
They should have just called it, like,
Bricks.
bricks.
This is how like Middle Eastern propaganda shot.
Yeah.
This is
I'm half expecting this is from like a Hamas trailer or whatever.
I've got yeah, we got walls, haven't we?
Yep.
That was the Irish's special ability in 2042.
Yeah. Who's not Irish?
I was born in the...
I don't know how it goes.
Who cares about the Irish anyway?
True. They are so obsessed with Britain.
Sometimes when I see how the Irish are, I do sympathise with the Russians on Ukraine.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just like the annoying little brother.
Keir Starmer declares a 3-day special military operation.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland's Donbass. I'm just thinking about now what it would be like if the SMO happened in Ireland. Just.
I am the spy.
I'm the spy.
Fucking space Hitler like blows up 3 planets.
I'm the spy. I don't care if Hato wins. I just want NATO to lose.
That was so bad.
You know the peace talks in Alaska?
Yeah.
I don't care if Ukraine wins. I just want NATO to lose.
And this building's not having a good time.
It's just a bit of urban remodeling. I gotta go. Oh, I like the shotgun.
Urban remodeling. Can you pick me up?
Yeah.
The infantry-focused maps were initially Cairo and Gibraltar in the first playtest week, and both of these maps had destruction that could change the way it was played, somewhat. In all honesty, it's a bit disappointing compared to Battlefield 4, where the revolutions on Caspian Border and Siege of Shanghai could change the way the map was played, to the point where the choke points and pathways in the map design
Oh my god, bro got launched.
were changed completely halfway through the game. However, this is probably due to those maps being larger and more mixed instead of infantry-focused. However, not all is bad. The sea flag in both Gibraltar and Cairo becomes a complete middle ground madhouse,
There's so many people!
and the destruction of walls, floorboards, and the entire sides of buildings completely alters the flow of the infantry experience in said areas. In Gibraltar, specifically the sea flag, it becomes a labyrinthine mess of corridors, rooms, and open areas that someone is either playing dead in or hiding from enemies that have now captured the objective.
I'm watching you on the. Okay, yeah.
In short, the destruction is probably the best in the entire franchise. However, I was expecting something more in line with Bad Company 2's blow a hole in a wall to get rid of an enemy's cover instead of destroying the entire building's wall. The current destruction isn't progressive, and each building has two modes, intact and fully destroyed. Even a grenade can take out an entire building's wall. Anyway, with all of that said, let's move on to day 3, the second to last day of the first week of the beta. The gunplay in Battlefield 6 is pretty tight, with good mouse input, which is a big improvement over 2042. Guns in that game felt like glorified laser weapons that had just come out of a pristine factory. A lot of modern shooters clutter your screen with blinding muzzle flash, heat haze, and clouds of smoke, so it's refreshing to actually see what you're shooting at in this game. Recoil is tied to caliber, so swapping between different automatics gives a distinct feel. Also, the shotgun is ridiculously overpowered right now and feels super good to use, especially with flechette rounds. Seriously, you can be in an entirely different time zone and you'll still whack enemies with flechettes so hard that they will be pelted into the stratosphere.
2, 3.
Also, the weapon customization system is pretty great. Any given attachment costs a certain amount of points out of 100. This means that some attachments will just be straight up better than others, but means you'll have to sacrifice another attachment to fit them on. The good part about this system is that whenever you unlock an attachment, it always feels like your gun is getting a direct upgrade, instead of a side grade with trade-offs. One area DICE seems non-committal in is in open versus locked weapons. I still think that open weapons isn't a wholly bad idea if the different classes have different incentives to use their specific preferred weapon. This seems to be the case so far. The assault class gets benefits to the draw speed and sprint recovery with assault rifle, naturally. Maybe buffing these benefits would make open weapon categories better, removing the need for closed. Also, closed and open weapons should be available next to each other in the menu to see what people prefer. The point of a beta is to get info on what works and what doesn't, but you know they're just gonna say, look guys, everyone just played with open weapons, the people have spoken, let's go with that, despite them hiding closed weapons in the menu until August 15th, the second week of the beta. As someone who doesn't really mind either, but prefers open, I still think that they should commit to a single mode by release instead of splitting the entire player base. The previously mentioned compromise would probably be a good place to start with that. In short, I think the gunplay is good and probably one of the best parts about this game. There is non-stop constant whinging and complaining about the open versus closed conquest of it. However, I still think both are fun, and going with an open but slightly more coercive option would be the best way forward, in my opinion. The maps and modes in this game have been criticized a lot actually. Most of the maps are close quarters and don't really have a lot of battles in, you know, fields. God, that was Anyway, Empire State is solely infantry. Iberian Offensive at Gibraltar is an infantry map with IFVs. Siege of Cairo features tanks plus IFVs, and there's only one map that is not close quarters in this beta, and that's Pipe Down Libtard Peak.
Because he started killing him, and I just replied to it like, pipe down, libtard, with a smiley face.
Although, with some choke points, it doesn't really feel like one. It's more like a two close quarters map stitched together awkwardly. It's classified as medium size, so that gives me a little bit of hope for the other maps though. The immediate problem about the maps is that 3 out of 4 of them are very infantry centric. Now, Battlefield has always had infantry maps. Operation Locker and Metro are 2 of the most iconic in the entire franchise. However, these maps tended to play in a completely unserious way, and quite importantly, they weren't the rule, but the exception. You'd equip a grenade launcher, close your eyes, shoot randomly, and probably kill at least 3 people immediately. Here, they actually feel a lot closer to actual conquest maps, having a lot more freedom to, for example, flank the enemy. As stated beforehand, Empire State is infantry only and plenty of verticality and back alleys, which is way more fun than just being infinitely downed and revived in a hallway. The problem with infantry maps is their number. There's going to be 9 maps at launch, and if we're being generous, 2 of the 9 are going to be infantry only and won't appeal to vehicle players. If we aren't, 4 maps are going to be infantry only or heavily infantry centric. Compare this to Battlefield 4's launch, where it had 1 infantry map, Locker, 1 infantry centric map, Flood Zone, and 8 combined large scale maps. Battlefield's defining feature is massive warfare with loads of vehicles. I do think that this marks a shift towards a more mainstream audience who won't really like being stomped on by vehicle players. No, I am saying mainstream and not COD players. The subreddit is currently going through some sort of mass hysteria at the moment about COD infecting their precious Battlefield, which is exactly what they've done for about like 15 years at this point. Operation Firestorm, New Sobek City, and Mirak Valley are supposed to solve this drought of large-scale maps. I would have liked it if they'd added Operation Firestorm, for example, to get a sense of scale of what these maps were going to be like, but alas, I am writing this as the second beta is coming to an end, and I don't think that DICE is going to add one. Anyway, apart from the size issue and lack of variety, the maps themselves are very well designed and look stunning, while still maintaining a high frame rate. The color filters, textures, furnishings, shaders, and details like the waterfront in Empire State, for example, look beautiful, and whilst I have criticized the destruction mechanics, they're amazing visually on all the different maps. The general pace of these maps are now super quick. There's rarely any moments of peace. Even when running between objectives, you're filtered into choke points full of chaos. Despite being the most open map, Liberation Peak is the worst for this. The mountainous terrain filters people into small villages and roads. Point C gives Overwatch.
Does this mean Overwatch is back?
No. So it's usually constantly being attacked. Whilst on the topic of constant assaults, game modes. Conquest is your standard Battlefield conquest mode, there's little to talk about here. Run to the choke point, die, cap an objective, troll the IFV player, all that good stuff. Breakthrough and Rush are much smaller than they used to be, with Rush now only being 12v12. I see why they did this. 64 player Rush is a little bit of a mess. Still, 12v12 could do with being up to 16v16. The objective placement on Rush is also a little bit off. It's generally way easier for the defenders to come out on top. Me and Jimbo had an atrocious game on Rush as defenders, and we still won because we were able to spawn at HQ and easily hold off the final objective. Meanwhile, the enemies had to go on the equivalent of Mao's long march to reach us.
I like that guy saying in all chat. Saying that in all chat. Yeah.
Keep nading A and not with smokes.
Yeah, we won.
Victory! What was
You can imagine even at terrible
G
performance.
I'm gonna put GG easy. You suck.
Yeah.
King of the Hill is quite literally just Hardpoint from Call of Duty. Instant respawn and infinite tickets, 8v8. Actually fun if you're only in the mood for a super short game. Oh yeah, I forgot. This isn't necessarily about game modes, but we obviously need a server browser as well. Oh yeah, we're gonna do it via Portal, guys. It's gonna be through Portal. Shut up. Portal is a lie. Oh yeah, there's community drama too. The discourse around this game has been kind of crazy at times. The entire subreddit is just people complaining constantly. I'm not saying that you can't criticize the multi-billion-dollar company. I am saying, however, that this is the first decent Battlefield game in ages, and posting, it's over, the maps are too small, this isn't a real Battlefield game, it's too mainstream and not nuanced. The more I play it, the less I'm liking it. This game feels exhausting. Holy shit, it never stops. I've already talked about the open vs closed weapon debate and Rush 2, but one thing that I didn't talk about was this stupid clip of this Twitch streamer playing the open beta with some suspiciously good aim. This blew up on Twitter, and that tweet now has like 100 million views.
Alright, I just found this out now. There's a fucking Forbes article about it. There's a Forbes article. The tweet got 100 million views. There's a Forbes article about it. Imagine being 70 years old, reading Forbes because you work in finance in a big company, and you're reading about Riley CS using aimbot in the Battlefield 6 open beta.
This sparked a debate on whether they're cheating or not, and the inevitable casual versus competitive let aim train aside. They got banned on Twitch and then unbanned when they proved that they weren't cheating. I will say, shooting someone who you can't see through a wall is pretty suspicious, but the other clips seem pretty legit to me. That's the last I'm going to speak about that awful drama. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. In short, the Battlefield 6 open beta is the best they've done since at least one. Coincidentally, the only good Battlefield game released in the last decade. There have been major problems throughout, like balancing issues, visual bugs, issues with DLAA, community drama over contentious topics like map design and game modes, but the game's core is fundamentally good. Of course, quite large changes need to be made, but I'm not going to relitigate all that here. The game beneath is genuinely fun, and I can confidently say that this game will be solid when it launches. But then again, it is DICE, and they'll probably find a way to fuck it up. Anyway, with all of that said, thank you for watching, and goodbye.